Now let's go on. The next test, verse 9 of chapter 2. The one who says he is in the light, yet hates his brother, is in the darkness until now. The one who loves his brother abides in the light, and there is no cause for stumbling in him. But the one who hates his brother is in the darkness and walks in the darkness and does not know where he is going, because the darkness has blinded his eyes. Now, brother here is not referring to the poor, even though we ought to love the poor. It's not referring to someone of another race. And I always thought that was a quite stupid statement anyways, because there's no more than one race, folks. It's called human. Unless you got a Martian tucked in your pocket somewhere, there's only one race. And we're to love people of all different colors and cultures and all that. We know that. But that's not what he's talking about here. When he says brother, he's talking about believers. If you say that you know God, and yet you do not love other believers in a real and practical way, and desire fellowship with them, you're lost. Now let me give you an example. You remember when Jesus said, I was in prison, you did not visit me. I was hungry, you did not feed me. I was naked, you did not clothe me. And guys who do prison ministries will always use that verse saying, we need to go into the prisons. We need to go in the prisons, but that verse doesn't really have anything to do with that. Unless there's Christians in there. What this verse is talking about, and I learned it quite well in Peru and in other third world countries. In some third world countries, my friend, listen to me. You get thrown into jail, you will starve to death unless every day somebody from the outside brings you food. You will. They do not provide food for you. You will die. Now, let's say that someone is thrown in prison, not for being an assassin or a thief, but they're thrown in prison in the time of the apostles for being a Christian. And they're locked away in there. Now, they're going to die. They're going to starve to death unless somebody else brings them food. Now, that presents a problem because the authorities know anybody that brings this guy a food has to be a Christian. And so the one who goes to take him food is in danger of being thrown in prison himself. That's what Jesus is talking about. A love so great that you would risk your own life to care for other brothers and sisters in Christ. Now, listen to me. Do you love to be with people who love to be with and talk about and worship and serve God? Or would you rather be with people who have nothing to do with God? Because you are demonstrating what you are. Like I said, I was raised on a farm. You do not see the chickens over there having a good time with the pigs. Chickens hang with chickens. Pigs do their own thing. It's their nature. You say, well, I'm a believer, but man, all my friends are, they're... Yeah, I know. You're lost. Do you love other Christians? Well, I come to church. Big deal. Devil comes to church. What do you do when you get here? What do you do outside here? Because the church isn't this tent, and it's not that building, it's the people. How many Christians are you serving? How many Christians are you reading the Bible with? How many Christians are you praying for? How many Christians are you loving? I've got a dear friend in my church back home, and he knows I'm here in Texas for a little while. He's adopted my mother. He's cleaning up her place, he's mowing her yard, he's doing all sorts of things. Why? She's a believer. And because of the will of God, her son's being sent to Texas, so he's taking over. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. I've had both my hips replaced because of my bones are degenerating. You know how they got replaced? I was a missionary. I didn't have a dime. How am I going to get implants? How am I going to be operated on? A man in Austin, Texas, Stephen Whitlock III. Young guy, 32 years old, but a brilliant man. He walks into his Sunday school class one day at a church there in Austin, Texas. He hears people praying about a missionary who can hardly walk up in the Andes Mountains. He goes, give me his name. He calls me. He says, come to Austin. I'm getting the ticket. I'm getting the doctors. I'm getting everything. Your hips are taken care of. That's what I'm talking about. I was walking through the jungles one time, high jungles, in Departamento Amazonas in Peru during the war with the Sendero Luminoso. We were in a place the military wouldn't go, and we were lost. Me and another brother, and we were traveling through the night in the darkness. We'd smuggled ourselves up there in the back of grain trucks, and we were going to preach in a place because the believers were just depressed and tore apart and didn't know what to do, and everyone was making fun of them. We knew we had to go in there. And so we get lost, and we're going through the jungle, and finally we come upon this village. We walk in there, we don't know where to go. We don't know where to spend the night. We know that the terrorists can be absolutely everywhere. We know we could be a dead man. And Paco walks up to this person out on the streets like almost midnight, and he goes, ¿Hay hermanos por acá? Are there brothers through here? And someone said, that old lady over there. And an old Nazarene woman. We knock on the door. And I said, Soy pastor. She grabs both of us, pulls us in, shuts the door behind us, sticks us down in the basement, goes out, kills a chicken, fries up some yuca, everything you can imagine. She's feeding us. She's taking care of us. She's housing us. Could she get in trouble? Yes, she could. And then you say, oh, I'm a Christian because I go to church. You gotta be kidding me. That's love to you? You need a new definition. He said, Brother Paul, you're using satire. Read the prophets. They did the same. Some of this Christianity floating around America is worthy of making fun of. And it ought to be exposed. Do you love the people of God? You know, who are you with? Someone asked me, how did you know? Young guys always ask me, how did you know that Charo, your wife, was the woman for you? I said, it's really easy. I wanted to be with her. How'd you know you loved her? I just wanted to be with her. How do you know you love them? You just want to be with them and talk about Jesus. Talk about Jesus. Do you love?